Alright, welcome back to another video here. We're gearing up for Season 10. I'm going to be streaming Season 10. I'm going to try to get access to the beta, do some streams, and yeah, put out a lot more content this time. There are a few changes that look cool. The one I'm most excited about is the sound being decoupled, so that you can have music on but not sound, which is neat. I actually bought Diablo 2 Resurrected. It was like on sale, and yeah, I been playing it. It's kind of fucked. Ladders just someone just gave me an Enigma like in my first day I was playing. So and it's just weird going back to it after all these years. The new graphics are cool, but the character models kind of suck. Not that that matters really. I don't know. Mixed feelings about it. But I'm waiting for Season 10, and I wanted to make a video, so I've been jumping in here doing some stuff. One thing I want to comment on is that some people have been telling me that testing in Plug Y, which is what I do for all my stuff, there's a bug with crushing blows being like way too strong. And so I tested that out, and whatever version of Plug Y I have doesn't seem to have that bug. Crushing blows doesn't really do much at all. Some people are saying like crushing blow on melee is bugged. You can like 3-shot bosses. I tried that and no. So I don't know what they're talking about. Maybe it's a different version, but anyway, the version I'm using is fine. But without further ado, today's video is a fun build. Got me thinking. So the new changes coming to the paladin shield is gonna have a proc based on when you block. So that kind of walked me down the road of looking into like a defensive build where you have like these procs and you don't really attack, but things happen because things attack you, and that gets you into the classic idea of the Thorns build. So I've never really given this a fair, honest shot, but I wanted to. So here it is. This is a Thorns build. It's actually really strong, but it's super expensive. And when I say really strong, I mean, yeah, you can map with it, but like I mean, it's a gimmick, right? Like this isn't like the best way you can play, but it works. So let's take a look at that. So Thorns. We'll go into skills first. You want Holy Shield because you're using a shield. You're not using a two-hander with this build. And then Joust is pretty much the only thing you're doing to just reposition yourself. And then you're using 2 auras. So Fanaticism here will be for my Merc, because giving them attack speed and damage is better than just might. So we're maxing Fanaticism. And then we're maxing Thorns, and Thorns is synergies, which is might and defiance. And then you just put the rest in Holy Shield or Joust, whatever you want. But you could see level 36 Thorns, which isn't that high, is attacker takes damage at 3,200. My total attacker takes damage is 7,269. Now this build doesn't completely prioritize maxing out that with the way I have it set up here, but you could by putting on a Spike Thorn. So if you look, like Spike Thorn is Thorns, like the 2,700 attacker takes damage versus my level 34 Thorns is basically the same amount. So having this shield on is pretty massive. And it's not a bad shield. It has 20% PDR, and it adds a bunch of damage if you were attacking stuff, but we're not. But for now, we're running Exile. I did try this thing out, which has the chilling armor, but it's just not... It doesn't really do anything. Chilling armor is cool, but without its synergies and without any other frost damage really going on, it doesn't really make sense. But it was neat to try. Anyway, so the way attacker takes damage works is if you get attacked, you don't need to be hit successfully, which means if you block it or they just miss because of defense, it it still triggers, and it still triggers on ranged attacks too. So in regular Diablo, it only triggers when you take damage, and it only triggers on melee attacks. But in this mod, PD2, that's not the case. And when things do take damage from attacker takes damage, you'll see a little circular thorns appear. So these are some ranged guys. So you see they're hitting me, and they're just dying. So that's really cool. One hit almost kills him. Now, of course, we're not in a map, so maps have more health than this. And there's more going on here with my build, but I just wanted to show you how attacker takes damage makes any sense. It doesn't, as far as I know, it's not physical damage. It's just damage. So it has no elemental type, which means it doesn't get reduced by PDR or things like that. So it does pure damage, and nothing's immune to it. And it works on bosses. So in that regards, it's pretty strong. Its only downfall is that the rate of attack depends on how quickly you get attacked. So, yeah. But anyway, 7,000 damage. Every time I'm getting attacked, things are just going to take 7k damage. Now, it doesn't trigger anything like open wounds. It doesn't trigger on-hit effects. It doesn't trigger anything. It's just itself. And nothing else triggers it. Only getting attacked will make it do anything. So that's Thorns, in case you weren't aware. It does have strong synergies at 20%. And that's cool, but the damage it does itself is not really that high. If you'll see my gear, if I take Thorns off, I'm doing more Thorns damage from my gear than I am from Thorns. So that's kind of interesting. I feel like Thorns should do much more if they actually wanted to balance it that way. But whatever. Let's look at the other business end of this. Well, I'll just show you Shank, just so you see what's going on here. Now, of course, Fanaticism War is doing nothing for me. That's for my Merc, which is dead on purpose, because I wanted to just show you what happens when I stand still here and I don't do anything. A lot of shit happening, right? Everything dying kind of slowly. Let's see, Shank here. You can see when he does hit me, the attacker takes damage. He just dies on his own. That's pretty cool, right? So there's other stuff going on here, and we'll get into that now. The main thing here is Innocence. So Blade Shield. Blade Shield is a really cool spell. Now it's getting nerfed next season, which is it's not a huge nerf. It's just going to be attacking slower than it is now. Right now it attacks pretty damn fast. And basically what it is, it's a range 1, and that means that anything within one range of me will get attacked. Think of it as like a second character, a second mercenary that's basically attached to your body, and it attacks whatever's close to it at some rate, which is going to be not as high next season. And it does anything that says on striking, it will do. And it's a melee attack, which means it does melee splash, and it applies everything that melee splash applies. So that means crushing blow, deadly strike, on hit effects, on striking effects, lifesteal at a the lifesteal doesn't actually work because the source of damage isn't me, it's the Thorns, it's the Blade Shield. So technically lifesteal's working, but it won't heal me. It'll heal the non-existent entity that is the Blade Shield. And it does weapon damage, so it will do a portion of the damage on your weapon. So Fanaticism does come into play here by making the damage higher for that. The attack speed doesn't. And so the real benefit here is that we get on striking. So on striking. Everything I am wearing here has some sort of on striking effect, and they all stack. So I went through the whole catalog of items to see what is the most amount of shit I can make proc by just standing still that is useful. The first one here is this helm, Ferocity, which is it's gonna do a taunt on striking, and taunt is not a curse. It'll work with curses, which is the main reason we're using it. And basically it just makes enemies' defenses lower, so they're easier to hit, and it lowers the amount of damage they do. And more importantly, it causes an AoE, and everything will be forced to attack me, which is good, because sometimes enemy AI, they just kind of walk around, they wander around, they do whatever. If they get taunted, they will just attack you, which means my Thorns is going to be doing more damage. So this actually increases our Thorns damage significantly. It also has some life steal, and it has attacker takes damage of 250, which is Thorns, which is very nice. And cannot be frozen is also cool because we don't have it in any other source. The neck is Metal Grid for 1,000 attacker takes damage, and you could also summon a golem with this build. And you could summon any golem you want to round out your build, but I haven't been messing around with that because it's a little buggy in Plug Y, but that will be a benefit. The shield casts Decrepify on striking, which lowers attack speed. Or no, actually just lowers movement speed. I don't think it actually... Oh, and it lowers attack speed. So it does make enemies weaker and attack you less. But it causes them to take more physical damage. And so this is going to help you stay alive and your merc stay alive. Because the problem with mapping is that you will take a bunch of damage. And this Decrepify proc is really helpful, but not entirely necessary. Defiance Aura is great to have. 2 offensive auras is great to have because that's all we're doing here is we've got 2 offensive auras running. Freeze's target is cool because that's going to apply to the blade shield. So whenever we're blade shielding, they're getting frozen. And the other stuff's just great. How do we survive? This is a main problem with Thorns builds is you're not attacking, so you're not life stealing, and you need to get attacked to do your damage, so you do end up taking damage. So the Phoenix is like perfect. Redemption Aura. Yeah, it also has ignores target defense, which is going to apply to our blade shield attacks, and that's really cool. Because that means it's always going to hit, and it also has a proc Firestorm, which is level 40, which is really high, really high, and it has the minus enemy fire to resistance, so it actually does decent damage. Next is the gloves. You notice these are the highest gloves with attacker takes damage. And the procs are just kind of there that are also nice, and it also reduces enemy fire resist. Blade Buckle is again just the highest item for the slot that has attackers take damage, 480. And I'm running 2 Carrion Winds because again, 300 attacker takes damage. 1 to all skills gives you about 200 Thorns from Thorns. So this is a little bit better, plus we get the Twister procs, which do damage. And the boots... Again, Sandstorm has the attacker takes damage. The other stuff's kind of not really relevant. On our swap, we have Demon Limbs, so we can buff our Merc and ourselves. So that Blade Shield does some fire damage as well. I'm using offensive Skillers and Torch and Annie. Some resistance stuff. Again, this is GG gear, so I'm pretty high up there. Let's just jump into a map. Now this is not a super good build, so I'm not gonna do like a crazy map, but let's just get one that doesn't have any magic absorb or physical. Yeah, okay, this is fine. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna do enchant fire, And I'm just going to show you guys me when I'm solo. So you just joust in, and you'll see everything get cursed and taunted, and then a whole bunch of on-hit effects are going to just start occurring. And then as things die, my health will go up because redemption will kick into place. And the more mobs you have on you, the more damage you're going to be doing. So keep that in mind with this build. You want really high density sort of areas. And it just looks cool. Like, all kinds of shit going on here. So you can see it's very hard for me to take damage or die here. It's because my defense is so high. 46,000. So I'm rarely getting hit. My resistances are all full, and I have huge block chance. So I'm also not moving. And things are decrepified. It's just, you know, it's a very, very sturdy build. Anyway, so you're probably saying this is kind of lackluster, right? This isn't very good. Things aren't really dying that quickly. I mean, they do eventually die, but it's certainly not anything to write home about, right? So I'm going to just bring the Merc into it now, because the Merc really is what rounds out the build here. Does a lot more of the damage and keeps the Merc alive because of all the stuff going on. The decrepify and whatnot. So let's look at my Merc here. It's an Act 1 physical Merc, so she's going to be doing strafe, slow movement, and magic arrow. I've given her a demon machine, which has this multi-shot proc, and innocence to proc the multi-shot. That's really the source of the damage here. And then they innately have, I think it's 68% pierce. This one item gives them 100% pierce, and the knockback is cool. And then you have, you know, just some deep wounds stuff, and some survivability here. So her sheet damage is not very high, but she's gonna have this max fanaticism on her. So let's just see the damage output now. Let's see, it's a lot better. And she's killing most things, so her life after kill is gonna keep her topped up and alive. And the joust is quite good for getting her into the clump, which causes her blade shield to trigger and just start multi-shotting. There's nothing really new here. The Green Goblin uses this Merc, I believe, similar setup with the multi-shot. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool, the build. You don't have to fight. It's like it's a quirky thing, right? And it's cool to just see all these effects. It's like you got so much stuff going on. Yeah, let's try a different map, one with more density. And I'll show you Shank now with the Merc for comparison here. She's quite strong. She basically one-shots things if she's actually hitting them. She's also getting that huge Defiance aura from Exile, so very tanky. Alright, so let's jump into a tier 3 map. And I know people roast me about doing cows, but you know what? Well, let's just do cows. Let's pick a hard one. Let's see how that goes. I mean, it's not super fast, but things are dying. I don't have to do anything. It's super easy. I mean, you could totally, if you're working all day from home and you're trying to play Diablo, I mean, you can just AFK and like alt tab, and you know, like every minute or so, just like go to a new area, and yeah, you'll see nothing really goes for her because of the taunt. Also, I don't know if this works. She has, see how there's imps everywhere? I don't know if that is just a plug Y thing, because I thought mercenaries can't have revives on live, but yeah, I'm really not sure how that actually works. I mean, look at this. Look how nice this looks. Isn't that nice? So I'm gonna test this out with the new shield when season 10 comes out, and I'll give a little update to that, because I think that'll be pretty cool, having level 45 hydras spawning constantly. Now we'll see if it actually works. I know with Dragon Den there's a bug where, because you don't have the O skill for hydra, they despawn, and they're like really unstable. They'll attack once and then just despawn. So we'll see how that actually turns out, but yeah, I don't know if plug Y works with the, like, okay, so let's actually see. 470 to 14. Yeah, so she's not actually getting the fanaticism aura because the left click thing doesn't really work, I don't think. Having an aura on the left, or two auras, I don't know if that really works in plug Y. In any case, yeah, I'm calling this the problem paladin, because it's like, you know, problem. It's just so cool seeing all this stuff happen. I do want to show you guys, because I did test a whole bunch of shit. The reason I like Phoenix is because it keeps me alive, but watch what happens when I put on Nord's Tenderizer. It's just silly. It's actually a ton of damage too, a lot more. Cause look at these blizzards stacking up here. It's a lot of damage with the blizzards. In case you didn't know, blizzard can stack, and each additional blizzard does damage. So if you get like 5 blizzards at once, it's actually an insane amount of damage. So yeah, look at that. The screen's just white. Can't even see. But the problem with this build is that you don't heal at all. So, I mean, it's not a huge problem. You just have to carry pots and heal. But I like totally self-sufficient builds, even though this blizzard is effective, and it's definitely more damage than the firestorm. Look at that! Boom. And I'm not doing anything. This is just the game playing itself. So if you want to build where you don't have to do literally anything and it's like pretty strong, Thorns Paladin. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? Now we'll try the Spike Thorn, so we don't have Decrepify anymore. So So when we don't have Decrepify, we're gonna get attacked more, which means more Thorns damage. And of course, I've got more Thorns damage because I'm wearing the Spike Thorn. But you lose the Defiance. It's not the end of the world. It's just less stuff going on the screen, which is like maybe not as cool. And honestly, there's no Thorns damage going out here. The cows aren't ranged, so maybe 1 or 2 of them's hitting me at a time. Try the Luna, which gives you the chilling armor. So again, that only works on things attacking you, so and it's like only 100 damage. It's not much. Yeah, I really like the Exile. I just think it's just wonderful to look at that. Like, look at that. Isn't that just nice?